Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Then check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something to inspire you. That's DealToHealTeas.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to DealToHealTeas.com. Again, that's DealToHealTeas.com. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Ernest James, and we believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. Therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share our podcast on all of your social media listening platforms, as well as make sure you guys go and check us out on our new YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. We turned our page into a podcasting network page because now we have multiple podcasts. So make sure you guys go there to check out the podcast that we have available. And we also will be bringing you more podcasts in the future. So make sure you go there, check out our YouTube channel, our new YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Also, make sure you guys check out our other podcast, our sister podcast, which is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. On that podcast, my guest and I talk about the relationship between the dads and the daughters. So I talk to dads, and sometimes we even have daughters on, discussing the daddy-daughter relationship in order to combat the narrative of the absent father and the fatherless daughter. So we like to promote the voices of our girl dads because we're out here, right? Everyone. There are some, fatherless daughters, but they're not. Fathers and girl dads are not a myth. We are out here, right? And so I like to have the discussions, Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Make sure you guys check that out, as well as the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast on our new podcast channel on YouTube. All right. Excuse me, our product of the week. As you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way we stay on the air is by bringing you amazing products for you to purchase. And our product of the week is our Purpose Journal and our Purpose Planner, because I believe we are the journal in order to remember where we've been and where we are in our lives, as well as plan for our future. So make sure you guys go to the descriptions and look, find the link for our Purpose Journal and our Purpose planner. Both of them are available on Amazon as well, but the links is in the descriptions. Also, make sure you guys always check out the descriptions because not only do we have amazing information for the products that we have, but we also have information about our guests and even some of the things that they have available for you. So we want to make sure that you guys get that. So make sure you always check the descriptions because there's always some amazing information there. So make sure you go there. Also, make sure you subscribe, like, and subscribe to the podcast. Don't keep it to yourself, but share it with someone else. That the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast is on the air. So make sure you guys do that. All right. So we're going to jump right in it. Today, just like any other day, we are blessed with a guest, Miss Veronica. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
No problem, no problem. First of all, I want to say thank you for being on because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. So we're gonna jump right into it. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to my audience and tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Definitely, that's not a problem. So yes, guys, I just to sum up pretty much what I am an artist. I also am into my community work as a community activist or organizer. Also, I do, I'm an actress. So a whole bunch of stuff going on there, but I'm an author, and the list goes on. And I just love what I do and a passion for it, and just to help people along the way.
All right, all right. And so I'm just to let you know, I usually don't have artists uh on my page, right?
I'm
On
honored.
this podcast, just because it's not a music podcast,
Right.
right? But there are some artists that I do have on. A lot of us have there like yourself who has more than just the music that they're doing. There's also some other thing that they're doing, and there's also some impact that they have a part of their story. So I have had a one gentleman on who is a rapper. However, his subject matter is depression and mental health because that's what he struggled with.
Mhm.
So his music is around those things, and so that, of course, is something that I know some of my audience struggle with, and so that's why I had him on. So and I know that you have more substance, outside of just
Yeah.
just the music, right? And so let's jump right into that. Tell us a little bit about your background and even what brought you, the things that you kind of went through yourself that got you to this point where not only do you want to help people, personally, but then you got books, you got music, you got community work, all the things that you do. And I'm sure that passion came from somewhere. And generally, I know that a lot of the time our passion comes from our pain. And so we go through our pain, we make it to the other side of it, and then now that becomes our passion to help those who may be going through the same thing that we went through. So tell us a little bit about your backstory and how did that transition into all of the amazing things that you're doing now.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God. All right, where to start? uh, yes, not a problem. So, just to pretty much put it together, I'm born and raised here in New York City, but it's called Alphabet City or Lower East Side, downtown Manhattan. And music has always been a part of my life before anything. And my parents, who were both, may they rest in peace or in heaven, I felt like they were a big instrumental part into who I am today as we speak, and even to the personal raw of what I've become and who I am now. To pretty much put all together, I've been through a lot since my childhood until now. And some of the things I wanted to tell you, viewers and listeners, as well, of my story, my testimony on the show, is the fact that I've encountered a lot. And being a domestic violence survivor, being a rape victim, being in the shelter system many, many years ago, homeless and pregnant pretty much, and going through shelter system during that time. Just things that I felt needs to be taught more about, and also being in the foster care system when I was younger. And seeing these situations at first hand, there were times where I really wanted to, as I mentioned before, exit out. But I felt like God had me here for a reason, as a purpose. And going through all that I went through, even going through some things now as we speak, but I feel as we speak right now on the show, um, I have a higher purpose. And this is the reason why I wanted to do from the negative things I went through in my life to now to flip it and make it positive and also help other people along the way through my own journey.
Yeah, yeah. And you talked to you mentioned of some of the things that you've been through, and I imagine that coming through those things, or even in the midst of it, there could have been some days that are just like, man, I don't know what's going on, right? And so I often talk about my own struggle during the time when my mom passed. So not only did my mom pass at that time, but my mother-in-law at the time passed also within a close amount of time period. And it was some other things that was going on. And I know I found myself in a place where it's like, okay, I'm going through all these things and I can't change it. It's like I lost all control of my life at that time period, and definitely started dealing with some depression, and even got to the point where I started having suicidal ideations. And like yourself, I don't think at that time it didn't come to me like, okay, there's a greater purpose. As far as for me, my greater purpose was my daughter, and that was the thing that I was like, I have to stay here for her. I think she was only like 6 or 7 at the time,
Wow.
and it was like, okay, I got to stay here for her,
Yes.
and that was the thing that made me hold on. Then I had some great, family and friends that came along, uh, and at the same time to help lift me up out of that space. And by the grace of God, I'm still here. And so I can imagine, just dealing with some of the things that you went through, and I don't even know, because I mentioned about my mom passing, and you mentioned that your parents had passed. Was that early? Did they pass earlier in your life, or was that later after you had already been through some things?
My dad passed away, and I was like just turning 18. That was many, many years ago. And my mom just passed away this year, May. So this is like all over again, the same feeling. So it's kind of like going through the mourning process. I'm still going through it. It's hard. I have my days, which is not easy. And my condolences to you as well. So you understand what is the pain and the
Yes.
grieving, the mourning. So it's hard, but I have my good days and I have my bad days.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No doubt, no doubt. And we're not going to go down this road, but I talk about grief, of course, a lot on here. And one of the things that I talk about is they call it the grief wheel for a reason, because it
Mm,
never ends. It just keeps rolling. So sometimes you're on a smooth road, and days are smooth, and then sometimes you're on a bumpy road and you're bouncing all over the place, but it never stops. It just keeps rolling, because it's probably been 15 years since my mom passed away,
mm,
and but depending on which day it is, you know what I mean? It feel like it's been 15 years, and then it feel like, it's been 15 days maybe, you know what I'm saying? It just
mhm.
depends on the day. And so definitely praying for your strength in that
Thank you.
transition, because yes, I do. I do know what that's like. And so we got your testimony, right? Which also definitely leads into some of the work you do. So let's talk about some of the projects that you have going on, and even how, different things that you've been through, how it's reflected in the work that you're doing now.
Yes, definitely. So the community work, that's really big and dear to me in my heart. Me and my amazing business partner, J Empire Media, we worked on one over 5 years now with community work. We've done back to school, events every year here in our neighborhood. We did one, I think, in the Bronx last year. And we want to kind of branch out, but everything's in due time. But prior to that, we do also that, and then toy drives for the kids and families. Because being a single mom, I firsthand know the struggle it is just to get plate of food, at the dinner table, or just trying to make ends meet to get things go by. So I want to help families during those times, and I know how it is. So those are reasons why they're really dear to me, with that in mind. And also we have platforms, or as they say, so our local talent here in New York City, also worldwide, to be heard. We provided for them for radio, TV, magazine. So we really try to reach, and we also do events as well here time to time in New York City. So we really try to embrace everybody and to be heard, especially for the underdogs, especially in the independent. or and they call it independent scene and the music scene, it's difficult. It's really hard, and I firsthand know how hard it is because you're trying so hard to get your name out there. You're trying to meet the right people to guide you, but then you're gonna deal with certain things around that time frame. You got to be careful. So this is why we built this on our own to help people to on the right path with that.
Yeah. And I want to ask a question because you mentioned about being a single mom,
Yes.
and even some of the hardships that's there. If you could have a just kind of a message to the other single mothers. So what I was blessed to be a part of, I have a friend of mine, and her name is Veronica. Also, her name is Veronica
Oh my
White.
God.
I just thought about it when I just said it. But her name is Veronica. Shout out to Veronica White.
Awesome.
But she was a single mother.
Yes.
And she, fought through and very successful right now. She actually just released her book called Singled Out, which is her story of being a single mother.
Wow.
But this year, us, me, her, and our little group of entrepreneurs that we gathered together. We did our first, which is her event. She spearheaded, but we all supported in different ways. And we did our first single parents conference this
Oh,
year.
nice.
And so we're already planning the one for next year. So that's kind of her story, was kind of birthed out of that, along with the book, was she wanted to do something to empower single parents,
Mm.
just her being a single parent. And she started off with doing single mothers, and it was like, what, it's more than just single mothers out here. I wanted to help the fathers too. And so she started her platform. And like I said, this year we were able to do the first single parents conference here in Chicago, and we are already working on the one for next year. So
Awesome.
just a little bit, if you can, don't mind sharing just a
Sure.
little bit of your, some of the things, your hardships that you had, and how you kind of overcame those in your single motherhood, just to kind of give some tips or some advice to some of our single parents that might be, on that might be listening.
Yeah, sure, not a problem, not a problem. I learned from trial and error in my experiences with this. It was. I'm gonna be honest with you. It has been hard. It hasn't been easy, but I think what really helped me, and it could may help your listeners as well, is these things I've used, and it kind of built me to be consistent and also to make sure my child was my first priority. So that's one thing. Always make sure you have to make sure you take care of yourself, your health, which is very crucial.
Mhm.
Because if you can't take care of yourself, who's going to take care of your child, right? During the long run. So that's crucial. Another thing is make sure your child is prioritized. Even though the simplest things, almost you don't have the expensive things, just the basic needs: a home, a place to sleep at, to eat, have love and care, and to make sure sometimes as being a single parent, you have to do a double the job, as they say.
Mhm.
So you have to like give that child additional love, a little bit more extra because of the fact that they're missing out with the other person. And don't ever talk bad about the child's father or mother, whoever it is, that is not
Mhm.
a part of their life, no matter how you feel about it. But I think learning from my own experience, it's best to just leave it alone and just do the best you can. And I think another thing is also balancing out your schedule and your child's schedule and financing your budget. That's the main thing. I think I realized that later on, you have to budget what you can with your needs, and not the wants, the needs, and things that you can for you to provide for you and your child. Have a healthy relationship and a beautiful journey for both you or your children, and just focus on that.
Yeah. Good, great. I know um I'm a fatherless daughter advocate, right? And so oftentimes I talk to fatherless daughters, and one of the things I talk to, and generally I'm talking to adult fatherless daughters, right? And so
Mm.
one of the things that I talk to them about is like you said, it doesn't matter how you feel about that other parent. You know what I mean? Like those are your feelings, but you can't press those on to your child,
Oh yes.
because at one point, at some point, they're going to want to know more about that other person. And especially in the time of social media, it's only a couple clicks away before now they're in contact with that person. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And you don't want to destroy their relationship just because your relationship didn't work. You know what I mean? Because their relationship is a lot different than yours. Because
Right.
your relationship as a girlfriend, boyfriend, mate, whatever you were at the time, that's one thing. But as a parent and the child, that's a whole nother relationship. That's a whole nother type of relationship that takes a whole nother type of love and nurturing, and you don't want to interfere with that based on how you feel. You know what I mean? And so yes, I agree with you 100%. Never talk down on the other parent or about the other parent, because what you really want to look at it, that child is half of you and half of them. You know
Right.
what I mean? And depending on how much of them they may be, if you talk down, excuse me, talk down about that person, that child may be receiving that more, also like, okay, that's part of me. And if I
Mhm.
look like my dad, or if I act like my dad, and now you're talking about my dad, so now you're, as a reflection, you talk about part of me too, because that's who I am or whatever. So you just don't even want to open up that Pandora's box, with your child. So let's just let's just
That's true.
not do it at all, right?
Yeah, just leave the drama.
Right.
Just leave it alone.
So I want to talk about one of your other things that you have accomplished is you're an author, right?
Yes.
Multiple author. Now I know, and I'll ask you to give a little bit on your experience with writing, right? So I've written 4 ebooks, right? In the time of me writing the 4 ebooks that I've written, I'm still trying to finish one actual full hardcover book, right?
Oh
And now
wow.
I started a second one. So now I got 2 hardcover books that I'm writing on, but it's just a process. It's just a process,
Yes.
and sometimes it takes a little longer than others, and mine have been taking a while.
Oh no,
But I know when it comes out, it's gonna be amazing.
yeah.
But it's just going through that process of getting it done. But you're a multiple time author, right? And so I definitely want to talk about your books. But just give me some advice, right? Just
Okay.
in the process, the writing process.
Yes.
If there's anything that you can give me to help me get my thoughts out.
No, no, definitely. I personally, my experience, I will say, is like I learned from trial and error as well. And we had a perfect conversation. I'll talk a bit about that as well. That how sometimes when you try so many times to put out, talk to publisher, you try to get your book to even be even a query, just a possible of being accepted, and then the publisher tells you to write a book and then send it to them and all that. That's the whole process. So I commend you even just putting the process behind that, as putting a book out electronically and all that said and done. So my guide for you and anybody out there watching as well who's becoming an author, who wants to become an author, there's different types of things I learned from this, and utilize that for me for to others to learn from that. So I think the best thing is use your gut instinct. That's one thing. If you're gonna write a book, have them outline what you want to write about, discuss different ways how you want to help people during your book, or your readers, what they're going to gain from it, right? So that's one thing. The second thing I will say is sometimes it's okay to get publishers, but if you get too many no's, you're going to have to learn how to just do on your own and do self-publishing. And with that, I learned my own with that. And it's not the hard work. It's just you got to try, get an outline, forgive me, and then just afterwards find a way to get somehow publish it on your own online. And there's different programs for that. Prior to that, proofread. I cannot stress that enough. Before you put it out there for public to read it and to buy it. Prior to that, I think the next thing is marketing and promoting. That is something very crucial. I tell a lot of people. It's one thing you have a book up, that's it, and it's not how it works. People just automatically gravitate to book. Then if you want somebody to get a book and read it, they have to have an interest of it. You have to kind of like sell your product, as they call it, and find a way how, what's gonna get them to be like, wow, this is really good. I want to learn more about your book. Then you go online to stores and like, for example, Amazon, Barnes Nobles, like there's lots of online bookstores that you could definitely put your books out available to be sold. Prior to that, a lot of people don't know when you go to these places, like when you self-publish your own books, you have also royalties, which is you are able to get, and a lot of people don't know much about that, and you're entitled to that. So pretty much, depending on how many sales you get per month, you get a check from that each month or so. It's month to month, pretty much. I think it's 3 months to two. Mine is 3 months. Every quarter, so it's every 3 months. So prior to that, this is your work and you're putting it out there, and you want to just get people to appreciate your work, what you're putting in there, and also just enjoy it. It's not just something you want to put on, that's it. It's something that you love to do. And if people absorb to it or gravitate to your work, they want to buy more books. Then it's going to motivate you to, like, okay, let me write something else that's going to get people going, and support me. And then, one day you go do a book signing at Barnes and Nobles or any local small mom and pop stores that, will support you. So it's a lot. It's a process. I learned through this on my own. But I think the gratification of seeing your hard work being put out there to be displayed online, or to meet people in person that are motivated or inspired by your book, that's good enough.
Yeah, love it, love it. So
Thank
let's
you.
talk about your books, two in particular.
Yes.
One is called Trials and Tribulations, and the other one is called A Mother's Love. So let's talk a little bit of both of those. And definitely to my listeners, I will make sure I put the links in the description so you guys can have be able to go and support Veronica.
Thank
And also, again, make sure you guys are checking the descriptions. We have a lot of information in the descriptions that you will find valuable. I guarantee you. So let's talk a little bit about the trials and tribulations. That book, how did that come about? When you came to writing it, and what was the viewpoint that you wanted your readers to walk away with?
Yes, definitely. So I pretty much gone through what I went through, like testimony with so many things. I one day I wrote this book a couple of years ago, and I wanted to talk about my story and help people be healed by this, because I'm going through my own situation, my own journey, and I want people to understand that, and not only that I went through or anybody else went through it. I want people to understand that how you can overcome it and heal through that process and move on with your life. So with that in mind, I put the book together. I was like, you know what, let me just put it out. I put up on Amazon and I think Kindle or something like that, one of those places. And I just pushed it. I marketed it, I promoted it, I put it out there, and people would say, check it out. And I'm just honored to see the love and feedback I got from people, close friends of mine, that's like, wow, this is really deep, like the topics you're talking about. And then I had a few people that personally like contacted me, and they said, listen, your book just really opened my eyes, and they really didn't see that side of my life, because they always saw one side.
Mhm.
So when they got the chance to read the book in full, and I had read it like 2 or 3 times, and they were like, wow, you went through all this and you're still here. And I'm like, yeah, I want to be a sort of inspiration to somebody. So realizing that, and I saw the feedback and that sorts, and then I had the opportunity to actually have it in one of the schools in here in New York City. Actually, it's called Metropolitan College, Community College, and I think college something like that. Forgive me, but it's up there in I think in the Bronx. And big shout out to them that supported the book, and I just was honored to see those stepping stones being pushed,
Mhm.
and those doors that were closed one time open now, and to see that people are inspired by just your word of testimony, what you went through and your ordeals. And I want that to be inspiration to anybody watching out today as well, to know that if you got a testimony, like, just give it a shot. You never know who you save.
So, so was the writing of the book itself also a part of your healing? Because I
Yes.
know we journal, you know what I'm saying, but I think if we have the words or the passion to put it into a book, I think I haven't written from that standpoint, but I think that it could be healthy. So how, was that a part of your journey, like the writing of it itself? Was that part of helping you to heal also?
Honestly, it was afterwards, because when I started writing some parts, like the domestic violence part, and some of the certain trauma parts, I had to throw in there in the book to get the reader to more a visual of what I went through. It was a bit traumatic for me because I had to relive it again. But at the same time, after I put it together and I did what I do and submitted, um, I felt relieved, and I felt like now I don't have to carry that no more with me.
Mhm.
So it took a while, and eventually when I heard people that would like their feedback and they bought it and they checked out and supported it, I realized then that I was right on the right path, and it really did give me time to heal a little bit.
Okay, good, good, good. So now the other book is called A Mother's Love. Let's talk a little
Yes.
bit about that one.
Yes. Okay. So this book is very dear to my heart as well. I read this, I think over a year ago or so, and this book, and it tells pretty much of my love for my child. Is, as a parent, it's unconditional love. Is no matter what they make you go through the trials and everything, but you still love them. And I realized, like I said before, like being a single mom, and for many years, the battle and the so much I had gone through my life with my child. And I realized that it gave us a bond to be closer, in the sense of like, um, I just have that, especially like it's your only child. So, of course, you're going to get that closeness more, because it's like your first child to second child is different, but you're raised different. But I just feel personally for me, it's like, reliving the things I went through, with the experiences we went together, and like being in the street for a little while, and then my mom helped us out while we were going through all that situation, and different situations of the whole thing. I felt we survived a lot, and I feel like that the mother's love was already that touch to it, but then the connection with me and my child, where we had to go through things together, and we never gave up. And even now talking about it is emotional, because he's already like about to be 19. So
Mhm.
it's like reliving the things of the phases we went together, and it's really a special bond in a moment. And I think it'll be a great way for any parent that can understand or relate to this, as well as for yourself, to know that no matter what you go through in life, as long as you got somebody, as a child, your family members, that's sticking out with you, that's special.
That's it. That's it. That's great. Veronica, I want to thank you for coming on, man. I want to thank you for sharing your story and your expertise. And I know that, in these books, just listening to, you talk about it, I know that there is definitely some healing
Yes.
that's going to take place for the listener. We definitely know that there was some healing that came from you writing it, but I know that there's some healing that's going to come through for the listeners. And I definitely want them to check that out. Like I said, the links will be in the description, so make sure you guys go and check it out. But I want you to have the last word, right? I want you to have the last word. I want you to leave us with word of advice, word of inspiration, however you feel. And also leave us with your social media handles and things of that nature, where we can follow you, where we can find you. All right. And I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that. To my listeners, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in to the podcast, to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you ever thought of starting your own podcast, then you would like to get your copy of the Start Your Podcast Now ebook. I wrote this ebook because I was constantly being asked, how do you start a podcast? And so I wrote the ebook, Start Your Podcast Now, in only 3 steps. I made it really simple. Make sure you guys get your copy. Go to ebooksbyejames.com to get your copy of excuse me, of the Start Your Podcast Now ebook and start your own podcast. Also, make sure you guys are going go to dealhealfulfill.org. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org. To check out my main website. That's my main website to find out everything that I have going on, be it workshops, speaking engagements, also different programs that I have, different podcasts that I have. Make sure you guys go check that out at dealhealfulfill.org, because my mission is the same as the mission of the podcast. It's to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problems, heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. So make sure you guys go to the website and check that out. Also, ebooksbyejames.com. We talked about, you can go there and find the Start Your Podcast Now ebook. But not only can you find that, you can also find the other ebooks that I have, including the Core 4, which is the Core 4 values that every daughter should get from her father. That is also the ebook, one of the ebooks that we talk about on the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. I discussed that book with the fathers there. So you want to make sure that you get your copy of the Core 4, as well as the check out the other ebooks that I have there. Again, that's ebooksbyejames.com at ebooksbyejames.com. Also, our inspirational t-shirt line, deal2healtees.com. Again, go to healtees.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. Make sure you guys go check that out. Excuse me. Not only do we have our inspirational tees there, we also have our podcast tees, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, as well as the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Make sure you go and check that out. Last but not least, the last couple of years, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every other month, talking about everything surrounding forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, even forgiveness of the world, and how forgiveness affects our bodies. It's absolutely free. You can make sure you go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our next forgiveness workshop, or go to Eventbrite and just look up forgiveness workshop held by the Forgiveness Mission, and you will find it there. Again, it's absolutely free, but the information is priceless. And so whenever you listen to this, either one is coming up or one just ended. So make sure you go to forgivenessmission.com in order to sign up for our free virtual workshops. All right. And once again, Veronica, I want to say thank you so very much for being on. Thank you for sharing your story. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to thank you for having me on the show. I'm truly honored. A quick advice to everyone watching, tuning in. Just don't ever give up on your dreams. Just keep pushing, stay consistent, and just love what you do. My social media, you can check out my Instagram at officialverog. My website is www.verogmusic.com. You can also check my Facebook artist page at VERO2884. And pretty much mostly on Instagram or Facebook. So you can definitely check me there, or you want to book me as well for anything. I'm more than ever. I'm always there, so you can check me there. And thank you so much again. Appreciate it.
No problem. And again, all that information will be in the description, so make sure you guys go check it out. And we can't end it no better than that. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Tees. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. Let's go to deal2healtees.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.